Hi, my name is Zachary Angelot, and I just wanted to go over Gobuffalo and sort of why I use it and just some real general stuff about it. Um, I personally use it just to whip up web pages real quickly. Um, you would normally go to Go Buffalo, I think it's IO, and this sort of walks you through the installation, all that. It is a little bit rougher because you do have to make sure it's installed in your path. See how it says configure path environment variable. So there are certain things to getting the ball rolling with it, but it's worth it for me anyways. Um, I guess just to kind of go over some of the stuff, the 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 things that kind of captured me about it is that it sort of generates code, which is really nice. Um, so I'll just kind of go over how to install it, or not install it, but how to run it. The install part, it's gonna be different on everyone's system. I'm using Ubuntu. It still took a little bit, but whatever. One of the first things I do when I start a new project is I take my database information, which is just the local database linking password username, not the like hosting one. You would have to put it to the hosting one if you were going to do that. And so let me get out of this project. Um, in order to make a new project with it, it's kind of like how Angler kind of did it with the CLI. Um, Buffalo new, and then whatever the project name is going to be. We can do, you know, new one. And then it's not just that. I mean, you can generate one with that, but it's preferred that you put the database type. I'm gonna do MySQL. You could do Postgres, whatever, and you just do that dash dash db dash type space MySQL, and that should generate all the files to a degree. There still needs to be some Go CLI commands to make it know about itself and all that with installing dependencies and everything. Um, at least when I run it, maybe on Windows it's a completely different story. I don't know. But anyways, and then let's go into that folder. New one. Just because VS Code sort of is nice to have it set up that way with it. First thing you do, and it's really some that you have to remember to do, and it's not in here to kind of, I mean, it's probably somewhere in there, but it's not in there to tell you this is really the first thing you should be doing when you generate a project. Because otherwise, without the database, it doesn't know where to do anything, which sounds obvious, but when you first start up a project and everything, it's not so obvious. So then you have to do all the Go to see how my Go mod is complaining and does the only dependency. Well, you have to run all that stuff in order for it to know kind of what's going on. You may have to run it again. That's just part of it. Um, so I just do it, even though I hit the button to do it. It just, it says error loading workspace. That's because there's literally so many files. Presuming a lot of it has to do with npm, but see the node modules folder. I'm sure there's a million billion files in there, so it sort of has to know what that is. I do npm install just to pull down everything that it thinks it needs, and also VS Code, as you can see, sort of needs to know what the heck is going on. So you're gonna be waiting no matter what, and all this stuff took me a bit to figure it all out, just to get the ball rolling on it, because Go Buffalo, the reason why I kind of use it was because I used to use Echo, but then it turned out it doesn't do HTTP2, and I was like, that doesn't use HTTP2. So I wasted all that time. This uses the Mux router, I think, and it has a lot of the same syntax, sort of. Like there's little changes, but it's not. If you've used Echo, this router really isn't that much different. Um, so then I run go install just to make sure everything is where it should be. Doesn't look like it's complaining. VS Code looks like it's done. Hopefully that's where it should be. Yeah, it's a little bit to go through in order to get the ball rolling. I think that, like I said, is mostly to do with npm and the node modules because it sort of generates the back end and the front end and the model and all that. So I'll first show how it creates web pages, then I'll show how it generates resources, and that sort of was it for me as far as what I thought I needed. There's also Plush and everything that kind of transpiles its own front end language thing. I think with Gopher.js and his own little language thing with Mark Bates's stuff. So, but I think there was a whole team of people that put together all these different tools and packages and everything, and made it really easy to use, which is really nice, like really nice. Um, so, in order to see if it is working, you do Buffalo dev. Hopefully, there isn't a bunch of red errors, which is really nice. Again, they have the different colored logging and stuff is really nice. Why is it? Is it because I didn't shut off the one? Oh, because I didn't get rid of the URL that was already on with a different project. Um, so yeah, that's like the beginning page, and this page is for people who want to dig into it. Is I think it's this index one, or maybe no, this index one is this routing shtick. The actual application part, like this top part, is this, and this partial Plush syntax is putting through the index file or the flash file, I guess I should say. So yeah. Anyways, in order to generate a new file, I do Buffalo. You could do generate or just G, and then action or just A, and then the name of the folder, and then the handler or file name. Let's just do new one. I don't know. And so that's gonna be the folder. Let's do person Jim. Okay, then we rerun it. And it should show up as a route. There it is. And so what did that actually do? Well, it created these two files, and this is your route. You can add in here where you can add data to the context and everything like that in order to pull it into the file. And then right here is in the templates folder and the folder person and Jim. And you could just do whatever, regular HTML, CSS, JavaScript, whatever it is that you want to do, which is really nice because that was it. I didn't have to do a whole lot to set that up, except for put down the dependencies and stuff. But and then if you do, let's say, another one, because you're doing a whole folder of stuff, let's say Jill, boom, you see it created that new route inside the person's file, because that first person's is like the file folder, kind of where it's gonna be, and it created it right in here as well. It's really nice, really easy. The next one or part of it that I want to show a bit, and it it does take a little bit of running more stuff. I'm not 100% entirely what's going on, but I'll show you. Anyways, to generate some that has something in the database, uh, you would have to start your database, of course. Um, that's pretty much what I got going on here. I use XAMPP. Anyways, in this I always have to like rerun it or whatever, but whatever, that's fine. Our resources, you generate a resource, and well, I just copy paste this just to do it a certain way. Basically, what this is Buffalo generate resource. The widget is going to be like what it's going to be called in the database, what the struct for the model is going to be, and the folders and everything. The next part of it is like its fields. Title is going to be one field, description is going to be another field. Nulls just means that it can be null inside of there and be fine. That text just means that's the data type of that field or column or whatever you want to call it. Anyways, if you run it, technically should generate a bunch of stuff, but I have to always, I don't know if I got things set up a certain way wrong or what, but I always run this just because I think it just has to generate so much files that it sort of has to know what's going on where. And so, but once you do this, you don't have to do it again. And then let me rerun it. Just see, it's still complaining about it. So let me run go mod tidy, go mod vendor. So yeah, turn not red anymore. It's because it has to like, it's like, whoa, new stuff all over the place. Let's see if it worked. I don't know if it did. We'll see. I may have to rerun some stuff. Did it. You notice now there's a bunch of new routes. You have to pay attention to this get post. What it generated was it doesn't exist. See, and now I have to run, but yeah, it's because of this thing. There's always a certain amount of commands that it sort of has to, you have to do in order for it to get it to kind of know about all this stuff. This migrate stuff, this is what I guess is actually going to create the database. See, create widget. I wonder what this warning thing, but anyways, we'll see. We'll see if that. Yeah, there we go. It's because it is generating the route, the model file, the database stuff, well, the migration files, and it's connecting everything in the model file and the route file. You sort of have to run different things at different times so that it doesn't let it pass, kind of. It's not really that hard. It took about a whole minute. But what it did generate was, again, like a route thing, but this is a little different. It's a whole bunch of stuff. And really, these are methods that this resource is utilizing. And it's sort of behind the scenes, as you can kind of see here, is doing a bunch of stuff. And you just do whatever, save. Oh, it's saved. Go to this. Oh, widgets. There's my data saved. It's actually really nice. You edit, destroy, all that stuff. Um, and these are basically the methods that it utilizes inside the resource. And see this C set, this is adding to the context so that you could pull it into the template itself, which is nice. Like widget, the model, you're pulling it down. You just do widget that name, or you could do the plush thing by ID, or because if you actually dig into the files themselves, like the form one, this is it. I mean, this is basically the form. Um, it generates all the rest of it, and it generates it um, just like regular HTML or whatever, just like a form, labels, the whole enchilada. It does do hashing as far as where it's going and everything like that, and ID and stuff, and it does create the routing with the user ID. It's all in that resource struct or whatever you want to call it. And it's nice because then you could take this file, put it somewhere else, and you have a form that's already connected, already encrypted, goes by user ID or whatever it is that you want to do. I didn't do any coding yet. It's nice. Um, the edit form, well, this is what the actual form is. There are certain things for, and this is what pulls in that underscore form, even though it doesn't have underscore here. That's what it pulls in. And the rest of this is sort of how it knows. That's why it pulls in that like hashed ID. And it also hashes it into the database. See this ID? Yeah. Again, really nice for just security stuff. Um, really nice stuff I kind of didn't even think about. Um, you could change the classes that you add onto these buttons or whatever you want to do. Um, or with, like I said, with the form, you'd add form items or whatever. You, if you're gonna be adding form items, though, obviously you're gonna need to change the database and then the model, because there's also the models folder, which is yeah right here, and it created these files. And this is really only when you create either models, or because you can generate models or resources. And this is sort of how it deals with the database. It does validation on all those different methods that are called. This is your main struct on it and the different fields that match the database. Yeah, it's really nice. It will take you a little bit to figure out how to move the files around a little bit, just because it's not 100% as straightforward as you might think it should be, kinda. And then also, if you want to use these buttons, let's say you want to do one up a level or something like that. You don't quite want to use just a form, but you want to still get to it. You can also get to this resource by JSON or XML as well, because it sort of um, takes all that into account. That's what this whole wants JSON, wants XML stuff is about. But I think that you have to do some with the headers in order for to get access to it. You can just delete it. It's not really that big of a deal. But the roundabout is, this is the model, and this whole context C. Whenever you see C, it's basically the context. TX is obviously with the database stuff. Pop is the database controlling software, I guess you could say. And find would be by the ID, because it's storing the ID, and that's what this TX thing is all about. And then respond with HTML, or respond with, or wants JSON, whatever it is you're going to do. This right here is how you would set the context. So you can literally take this put it into here, and now you can within the front end get access to this whole widgets thing through Plush. And so if we go to Jill, because I believe that's the route I picked for, or no, I do Jim. And let's go to one of those files just to steal. I don't totally memorize the Plush syntax. Yeah, this guy. Let's say this guy. The only thing is, I don't quite know if I have to do it by ID and all that. So how's it gonna know what I'm referring to? You may have to stay a little bit more than that in order to get the right data that you're referring to with it. But you can kind of go along and find out through these methods, sort of. Let's say show, because show would be showing them all. You probably have to steal the ID. The ID has to probably be on the URL. That's another thing. For routing, if you want to continue on with the user ID, sort of, so to speak, or whatever it is you're doing. I'm not too sure if it's in this one. Oh, I'm sorry, because I'm an idiot. You would just do here, and then you see this thing right here with the widget ID. You need that onto the actual routing. App.go is like the main file, so to speak, in a sense, for this whole server stick. And you would add it here. And so it would then know by ID when visiting that route that when you pull in that context, that's the ID context that you're referring to. You have to restart the server though and all that, and it has to pull it in. But yeah, you basically get the idea on that, and yeah, it's really nice, really easy. There's a whole bunch more to this stuff, like this ASAP box thing with Packer, which is sort of a way to embed stuff. Even though, yeah, in Go 116 you can kind of write code to embed things, but it probably does other stuff. It just does it all for you, and it's really nice. I would definitely look into all these different files. He's got also a really nice section on the videos. Videos right here, which he himself actually goes over all that stuff. To me, it's really nice. I mean, it makes it real quick, easy. The only issue sort of is like you're not coding as much as maybe you should be. But when you look at your prior projects of doing it from scratch, it's sort of like I want to do that again every time I have an idea. I don't know. But that's up to you, and that's sort of what this thing sort of shows and allows for and everything. Yeah, so let's go Buffalo. I'm probably going to do more videos on how to finagle little things with it, just because it's fun, it's easy, it's not really all that much coding, and you can do pretty much everything on the web with it. So it all seemed easy and nice here, but the installation definitely took a bit to understand. Running all these commands definitely took a lot to understand. I'll link to my Word document here under the video, just so that you could maybe do the same things. Who knows, maybe in a couple months this whole thing will change. It also depends upon if you're using Windows or not, but I did get it to work on my wife's computer, her using Windows, so it does work on Windows. It just takes time to set up, but yeah, so thank you, and hopefully you have a good day.